I'm not going to lie. The Jacksonville Jaguars really pissed me off last year. They really did. I had a play in my season win report on the Jags to win the division minus 150. They had an 8-3 start. All right. All they got to do is maybe win 2 more games. And what'd they do? 1-5 down the stretch. Choked away everything. It was ugly if you had the Jags in December last year. They found a way to lose games. They played terrible football. And again, 8-3 start, 1-5 finish. They allowed the Houston Texans to win the division. And my minus 150 on the Jags to win the AFC South. Garbage. So we talk about Jacksonville for 2024. That's in the back of my head. Was this team collapsed last year? That being said, the Jacksonville Jaguars, when we look at the last 4 years, they've improved 1 win. They were 1-15, and they won 3. The last 2 years, 10-9. Certainly good football team. Maybe not a great football team, but a good football team. What are the Jags going to do in 2024? Let's talk about it. Teddy Covers from WagerTalk.com. NFL team preview. The Jacksonville Jaguars still lined as one of the favorites. Houston's the favorite to win the division now, but Jacksonville not far behind them. They're certainly well regarded in the marketplace. Not a team that's supposed to be over 500 this season. It's certainly competitive. Doug Peterson, look, he won a Super Bowl in Philly, and he's had at least some success here. But then again, let's not forget, in Philadelphia, he was fired within 3 years of winning that Super Bowl after going 4-11 with a push. You have a new defensive coordinator in Jacksonville, Ryan Nielsen. He came from Atlanta. Defensive staff, all new, basically, for the Jags. Peterson made some big changes on that side of the football. I don't blame him. I thought Atlanta was fairly well coached defensively last year. Nielsen's not a guy who I have a negative opinion on. Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, who was so good. As a freshman, Trevor Lawrence was as good, the best freshman quarterback I'd seen since Michael Vick. All right. I don't know if he's got a lot better. Last year, he was good. He's good. But when you talk about elite quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence hasn't been there. And of course, behind him, Mac Jones, C.J. Beathard. That's not a duo I want to start any game. Lawrence has been healthy. He's a strong kid. But over the last 3 seasons, he has 60 giveaways. That's most in the NFL. Last year, he had an NFL high 21 giveaways, 14 interceptions, 7 lost fumbles. Lawrence, again, I don't know how much of it is me it's still in my mind thinking about that last stretch when all he had to do was throw one good pass and they'd win the division and go to the playoffs and I cashed that bet. But he wasn't able to do that. And I guess I have concern. Trevor Lawrence, again, good, not great. Wide receiver, what do we have? Gabe Davis coming in. They're transitioning at receiver big time. Gabe Davis from Buffalo. You have Christian Kirk. Number 1 pick, Brian Thomas out of LSU. The tight end, Evan Ingram. I don't look at this receiving core as being elite. I don't see a true number 1. A guy who can beat the double coverage. A guy who can force opposing defenses to game plan against him as opposed to everyone. Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, again, they're great number 2 receivers. I don't know who the number 1 is. That's an issue. Can the rookie be that? I don't know. Offensive line returns 4 starter, and they bring in Mitch Morse from Buffalo, the center. This was not an elite line last year by any stretch of the imagination, bringing everyone back or most of the guys back. And Morse wasn't great in Buffalo last year either. They haven't been healthy. Again, it's not a disaster offensive line, but we don't have elite anywhere on this offense right now. And of course, losing Calvin Ridley at receiver, that was 41% of the red zone targets last year was Calvin Ridley. And this wasn't a team that was great at scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Anyway, field goals have been a consistent story throughout the Trevor Lawrence era. So, again, offensively, they're pretty good, above average. Not much, but above average. Is that going to be good enough in the surprisingly competitive AFC South? We'll talk about the defense in just a minute. First, I do want to let you guys know what's going on at WagerTalk.com. My NFL season win report is out. I put it out at the beginning of July. Why? Because we want to get the best of the number before the markets go crazy and move on these teams. It is a 5-play report this year, including a 5% big ticket. We may add additional selections at the end of week 2 or week 3 of the preseason, depending. There's still a handful of teams. But when I'm locking up money in July for a bet that's not going to cash till the end of the year, I want to make damn sure I get the best of the number. And there were a handful of teams that the money was coming the other way. So I waited. We'll see if we get involved with those additional selections. Again, part 2 of the report, if we have one, will come out after week 2 or week 3 of the preseason. But right now, there's 5 plays. I've been doing this report since 2001. Over the years, 100 wins, 50 losses, 3 pushes. That's 67% since 2001. What's that, a 23, 24-year sample size? It's been consistently good. I spent all June sitting there diving into NFL. That's where all these videos are coming from, is the info that I researched this last month to put this report out. You can get it right now, wagertalk.com. You visit my page, wt.buzz/TC, or visit the website, wagertalk.com, and use promo code REPORT20. Take $20 off my NFL season win report. Again, that track record, second to none. 67% over a 20-something year sample size. I'm proud of it. I worked hard on it all summer, and I encourage you, take advantage right now. Report 20 at checkout. Of course, if you like this early NFL betting content, I don't ask you, if you want to buy the play, great. If you want to buy a package, great. One thing I will ask you for is a like. Just click. That's all you got to do. If you like it. If you don't bother. But if you like, we appreciate that so much. Makes all the difference with the YouTube algorithms. If you want to drop a comment below, that's great. Agree, disagree with my assessment. What are your thoughts? I'll be back throughout the course of the summer to reply to many of your comments. So feel free, and we love to hear what you have to say. The like makes all the difference. Let's talk about the Jags on defense. Okay, they made some additions. Eric Armstead from San Francisco. That's a big addition for the defensive line. The second rounder, Mason Smith at LSU, the defensive tackle. That duo has difference-maker potential for that defense. They really do. We talk about on the edge, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, that's a pretty strong duo as well. So all of a sudden, we're talking about a defensive line that may be a real unit of strength. Lots of pressure on the opposing quarterback, the ability to stuff the run in the middle. It's a good look, at least on paper, for the Jacksonville Jaguars defensive front. They did completely rebuild their secondary. And again, it wasn't a great secondary last year. I've still got concerns about the secondary this year. Ronald Darby, when was the last time he was good? Darrell Savage is no elite. The third rounder, Jones from Florida State. Tyson Campbell was hurt last year at cornerback. He, in theory, should be healthy and successful, but the defensive line better be good. There's a lot of questions in this Jags secondary. They have a rookie kicker as well. That, to me, is something of a concern. And again, it's an offense. Talk about the red zone and some of the red zone problems. They crossed the 50-yard line 118 times last year. Scored only 36 touchdowns. They went 3-5 in Jacksonville on a huge home field edge. This year, from a scheduling standpoint, it's not like the league is featuring Trevor Lawrence all the time. One Monday Night Football, one Sunday Night Football. They're largely buried. AFC East opponents and NFC North opponents for AFC South teams this year. That's 2 tough divisions or 3 extra games. Cleveland, Philly, and the Raiders. Which is, Cleveland should be pretty good. Philly should be pretty good. The Raiders, not so much. It's not a brutal trio. And I guess that's the benefit of not finishing first in that division last year when you see what the Texans are facing with their 3 extra games, which is a benefit for Jacksonville. No question. From a nuance standpoint, they have a tough start. They start, Miami, Buffalo, Houston, Philly, Detroit, KC, all, early on. They have 2 London games, only 7 home games this season, all year, fewest in the NFL. But then again, not like the home field did a lot for them last year. Jacksonville, to me, there's upside for this team. If things break right, if Trevor Lawrence clicks that switch, if the receiving core lives up to expectations, if the secondary can step up, there's absolutely upside for the Jags. But there's also downside potential for this team. I like them as a mediocre squad. All right. They're hard to trust and they're hard to fade. They're not a lot of moving parts. There's some continuity here. That's a positive. So I guess we lean over with the Jags, but it's nothing strong. It really isn't. Thanks for watching these NFL team preview videos. And of course, be sure to click on the next one. The full playlist should be right on your screen.